Welcome back. So the Forum for Public Sector Registered Pension Schemes is asking President Mahama not to sign an amendment to the Pensions Act passed by Parliament last week. The amendment seeks to reduce accrued benefit to pensioners in the country from 50% to 37.5%, a situation the workers say will worsen the plight of pensioners who already face a number of challenges. Let's take a listen.
The workers are disappointed they were not involved in consultations leading to the drafting of the amendments to the Act. According to them, the decision casts doubt on government's motive to implement the pensions reform.
It has come to us as no surprise the rush by government to amend sections of the National Pensions Act 208 Act 766. The amendment at this point in time casts doubt on the motive of government in the implementation of the pension reform. The Forum wishes to state further that pensions affect the future of workers. It is therefore wrong on the part of government to have proceeded with amendments to the Pension Act 766 without recourse to workers.
The Forum further describes the move by government as a deliberate attempt to divert attention from calls by public sector workers for government not to interfere in the management of their Tier 2 funds.
We see this amendment as part of a grand design by government to divert attention from the call by public sector unions and associations for government to desist from interfering in the operations of the second-tier operational pension schemes.
They are therefore calling on President Mahama to revert the amendment bill to Parliament since it is not in the interest of the ordinary Ghanaian worker.
It was because of the benefits stated in the National Pensions Act 208 Act 766 that workers wholeheartedly accepted the pension reform. To come back after 5 years to reduce the basis for calculation of pensions is a stab at the back. It is unfortunate that the Forum's attempt at getting a hearing at the Joint Committee of Finance and Employment, Social Welfare and State Enterprises of Parliament was not fruitful. We would wish to plead with His Excellency, the President, not to append his signature to the amendment bill and refer it back to Parliament for further stakeholder consultation.
According to Section 77 of the Pensions Act 766 of 2008, the minimum pension payment for workers is 50% of the average annual salary. But per the amended bill currently awaiting presidential approval, the minimum pension payment has been reduced from 50% of the average annual salary for the 3 best years of a member's working life to 37.5%.
A bit more additional information on the pensioner scheme. The net effect of this amendment is a further reduction of a paltry benefits workers receive from SSNIT, and these changes are said to have occasioned by an unsustainability under the first tier. The solution to this apparent unsustainability of the scheme under the first tier, the Forum believes it is not the reduction of percentages for the calculation of pension in respect of contributors who work beyond the minimum period of 180 months from 50% to 37.5%, whilst any additional year was reduced by 1.5% to 1.125%. So rather, the causes of unsustainability are the following, according to them: the high indebtedness of employers, particularly the government, to SSNIT, lack of prudent investment by SSNIT, and high administrative cost by SSNIT. Right, so to talk a bit more about that, I have been joined online by the chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Finance, James Aveji. Thank you so much, James, for joining us here on News Desk.
Thank you very much.
And a Merry Christmas to you also.
Yeah, same to you.
Thank you. So the workers say they were not consulted in a decision to the amendment sections of Pensions Act 2008 Act 766. Is that a case?
Well, I will not be able to respond to the claim that they were not consulted before the bill was brought to Parliament. But when the bill was brought to Parliament under a certificate of urgency, simply because by Act 766, with the transitional provision, within 5 years, the calculation of the pension should be reviewed, by which, because of some amendments that were made by bringing the number of years for voluntary retirement from 55 to 50 years. And then also because initially at 247, I think PNS Law 247, which established the SNID, SNID was handling both Tier 1 and Tier 2. But with the at 766, Tier 2 component is now being transferred to fund managers who will be managing that one. So pension is now handling only Tier 1. That has called for changes in the basis of the calculation. So when the CLOSAC people were talking about this, I think what they should look at adequately is that if the basis, about 25%, has been transferred to Tier 2, the basis for the calculation of pension, if it continues using the old formula, SNID will not be sustainable. Tier 1 will never be sustainable. Because the benefit, what they use in calculating that before they were using the previous calculations, portion has been taken from them to Tier 2. So that is one reason. Now, when the bill was laid in Parliament under certificate of agency, because if it's not done before the end of the year, those workers who will be going on retirement by the 1st of January 2015, calculations for their pension cannot be done. So those workers will never receive their pension until the law is amended. And that will also be a violation of that particular law. So what was done was that for us to work on it, I passed it before Parliament go on recess. Now, when the bill was laid, I received a letter on the very day that we were going to discuss the amendment. That CLOSAC brought 2 letters. The first one was dated the previous day, and then the second was dated the very day that we were going for the meeting. Now, what was the first letter saying? The first letter saying that they have concern in some of the clauses, and they made a proposal what they think should be done. So that letter, I received it. Then the second letter, which was dated the following morning, or that morning that was going for the meeting, they also demanded that they want to be given the hearing so that they can appear before the committee, which was too late for us to meet because we were going to meet at 8:30 that morning, and then when I got to office around 8 o'clock, I received the letter. So when we went for the meeting, I told the minister that this is the letter I received. It's not possible for us to invite them because of time factor. But what we'll do, the committee will do, the committee will take their concerns on board. Fortunately, they have made references to some of the clauses and they make their proposal, what they think should be done. So we will discuss both alongside what we have in the bill and then the position will be taken. Now, that is exactly what we did. Now, some of their concerns were taken on board. Some were not taken on board. So I do not think that if we did not take all their concerns on board, they should go by the way they are going, because it's a win-win affair. Now, one of the examples that of their concern which was taken on board was that when a transfer is going to be made for contributors' contribution to the SNID, it should be done with the collection or the contribution of the member plus interest. That is the way they put it. In the bill, it says that only their contribution should be transferred to SNID. We thought that their concern was right, because if the person is making a contribution, it's any interest. So what we did was we amended that bill to say that their concerns should, the collections or the contribution should be transferred together with the returns on that contribution. So we took their concerns on board. There are areas that their concerns were not taken on board. So if they said that they were not consulted before the bill was brought to the House, I would agree with that, because I do not know what the minister did before coming to Parliament with the bill. But when they talk about Parliament, we did not invite them to come because of the time factor. The notice for the request was too short. We will not be able to do that. And for that matter, we didn't do it. But their concerns that they brought, we consider them as we work on the bill before we pass the bill into law.
Well, the Forum for Public Sector Registered Pension Schemes also says the amendment is a further reduction of the paltry benefits. I don't know if I got that from your explanation. For them, workers receive under SNID. Is that really what will happen?
No, let me explain again.
Okay.
So under the first act, under the first act, PNC Law 247, it is SNIT that was handling both Tier 1 and Tier 2. So when they were having Tier 1, Tier 2, the basis of calculating the pension was based on 50% of the members' contribution. Now, with the Act 766, that is the National Pension Regulatory Authority Act, 25% of what SNIT was receiving has now been moved to second tier, which is being managed by separate private fund managers. So you cannot continue to use 50% as the basis of computation for pension for members. That will not make the Tier 1 sustainable. That was why the percentage was moved from 50% to 37.5%. That is the reason. But the fact still remains that no worker is made worse off. I'm also a contributor, so I cannot sit on a committee that work on this knowing very well that I'll be worse off. So we asked for the actual study that was conducted and what would be the position if the amendment were conducted. And I have a document which was given to us by Senate that proved clearly that with amendment, members under the new law, the members who are retiring at the age of 50, 51, that's voluntary retirement, will be better off than the existing law, PNC Law 247.
So don't you also think that some form of education should go into that to help these members, aggrieved members, understand better?
Yeah, I think that if that was not done before and the position they're taking now, I think that the best thing they should do is to approach SNIT and then the NPRA for them to have the look into what they've done. Because I believe strongly that those people who are having a pension are technical people who know how to go about this thing. In CLOSAC, they also have technical people who know how to do this analysis. Both of them should sit down and look at it very well. I believe strongly that they don't have the adequate information. That is why they are taking this call. If they approach SNIT and the NPRA, they will change their position.
Okay, if I got you right, for now it is 37% with SNIT, right?
37.5% with SNIT, because SNIT is only paying pension. That is the Tier 1. But the members, the contributors will continue to get their returns, their contribution plus the return from Tier 2, which is managed by a private fund manager.
Is that a 16.5% that is left of the 50?
No, it doesn't work like that because it's a formula. So whatever they'll be getting from Tier 2, it is their 5% contribution plus the returns that they will receive because of the investment that the fund managers will be putting the money in. That will come in the form of a lump sum money. As soon as you retire, you'll calculate it and give you that lump sum money. Then when you SNIT will continue to pay you pension. That is every month. As a pensioner, you receive money. And what I'm saying is that even with you receiving the lump sum money Tier 2, the pension that you'll be receiving, you are not made worse off. You are better off using the new act. So if you are a pensioner, you retire and your pension is supposed to be, let's say, 500 Ghana cedis a month, with this act, you will not be receiving less than 500 Ghana cedis a month, but rather more than the 500 Ghana cedis a month.
I believe a good education should go in there, because I'm also finding it very difficult to understand how 37.5% now will earn me more than 50% previously. So I really do hope that...
It is because using 50% was based and was calculated on a base which is broader.
Okay.
Which is broader than the new one. The new one, because we have taken 25% of the original base into Tier 2. So you are receiving a lump sum money from Tier 2. So if I continue to use 50% on the base which now has no 25% as part of it, the fund itself will not be sustainable. So it's a computation that cannot be done on phone for you to understand.
Yeah, I can get that.
It is based on an actual study that will show you how you arrive at the conclusion. So that is why I said the closer should just approach SNIT and then NPRA for them to have the studies that was conducted, for them to have all this education, I believe strongly they change from the current standard they are holding.
Right. Mr. James Aveji, thank you so much, and do enjoy your Christmas. We have been talking to the chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Finance, James Aveji, who has been helping us through with the pension scheme, Tier 1, Tier 2, and all the other tiers that may come with it. We really hope education goes in for us all to have a good understanding and pave the way forward. We take a short break here. When we come back, we have a lot more stories. We are reviewing the local government ministry and all the other related issues in the ministry. Stay with us.